So everybody has a mentor in their life that they shared with, and he shared with me, is why are you working so hard? And I said, because I want a better life than the life I started with. And that was one of the things that, inspired me. I just always wanted a better life. I didn't want to, I came from Brooklyn, New York. I came from, the projects of Brooklyn, New York, and I wanted to have a good life. I wanted to kibitz and be able to meet people and be able to establish something better than what I originally had.
And do you feel that you've accomplished your goal?
100%.
Having that great life?
100%. 100%.
What is it that you love the most about your life?
The David Golshan Podcast.
Very cool. Cool. We're here with my main man now, entrepreneur, security expert, boxing inspector,
State of California as air conditioner.
Overall incredible man and,
Thank you.
And really cool entrepreneur, Louis Perry.
Thank you. Thank you for having me as a guest. As you know, David, my respect for you is large also. You've been a great guy. You've been a great friend. We met many years ago, and you've always been an inspirational guy who has a story that's the American dream. So I appreciate being a part of this.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for doing this.
No, thank you for having me.
So tell me, what is it that you do exactly in security?
Well, as a security expert, several things. Besides, the first thing is I own Kadima Security. We do a lot of security events all over the city. We got some very, very high profile accounts, have about 500 employees that work for us. And that's phenomenal. It's just, it's been a great run. The Shurefars are my partners. They've been a great partnership. And
what type of company is it? Like,
I would say it's a boutique security company where we do, we do parking lots. We do
provide security for parking lots.
Provide security for parking lots. We do buildings. We do factories. We do patrols. We do construction sites. We do operational buildings. We do the whole gamut, of security, levels. So,
nice.
Yeah, we cover it all.
And so what would you say your bread and butter is in security?
My bread and butter, I would say, to be honest with you, I like to say everything because I consider a small account as important as a big account. It doesn't, I really never put it in bread and butter. I just basically say that if we say we're going to do it, we do a great job for it. It could be a parking lot or it could be the vice president retired coming in and we'll do security for him. Or it could be special events with high profile clients. Or it could be a top executive for a corporation that we're picking up, taking to work and bringing it back home. We do all of that. So every account is as important as even a open lot in the back of a business. And that's as important as working with a VIP. We put a lot of emphasis into not just the quality, but making sure that the officers are qualified to work those types of accounts.
So if I wanted security for my parking lot, my business, whatever it is, it's parking lots. What are some of the other big ones?
So we do parking lots. We do commercial buildings. We do residential security.
So like those guys that are in front of buildings that open the door and they're in where the parking is. And,
absolutely, yes.
They're all over the place. Like it's all under one company. You guys provide them for the entire building.
We've provided for the entire building. And we also provided for the entire city. We do some cities too. We do the whole city of Long Beach. We do San Bernardino.
For what exactly?
So if you go to Long Beach and you go to the aquarium, you go to the Pike, you go to 42 locations, the beach slots in Long Beach, all the Kadima offices, we take over all those properties. And we handle the security for them. We do patrols. We do standard security details. Whatever it is, we do it.
Nice. How'd you get into this game?
It's interesting. I came here with the goal of being in the entertainment industry. I wanted to be an actor when I first came here. But then I ended up working for a building on Wilshire Boulevard right outside of Beverly Hills. And I realized that I became very popular and successful for being a greeter. Greeting people, good morning, ma'am, good morning, sir. And I became popular, whereas people started to say, Louis, we'd like to invite you to work a party at our house in Beverly Hills. So from there, I started training security people to be like me, customer service orientated. And then from training them to be customer service orientated, I basically became a name, and then it became a brand. And I took that brand and it became so popular in Beverly Hills that people started to ask for me to go to their buildings and train their staff. So I pretty much trained every customer service. I used to call it the pump-up service, the pump-up program. Pump-up service meant the guy walks in the building, he holds the door for them, he pushes the elevator button for them, tells them have a good day. As the people leave, say have a great meeting, bring it home. So I started to really, excel doing things that nobody was doing. And from there, I became so popular that I was able to get the money I wanted to sustain a good livelihood. And then from there, training other employees to be like me. And then from there, opening my own company. And basically today we have about 160 clients. Wow. We have about 500 employees that work for us. And we're doing a lot of financial business right now.
Wow, that's amazing. Mm-hmm. So you came to be an actor.
Yes.
The people that you met liked you so much, they asked you to come and be security for a party?
They asked me to be, sometimes they would ask me to be the security for their personal party. I'm talking about people who had houses that were worth $10 million, $15 million. So now I found myself making almost 5 times what I make an hour working for these buildings, getting paid for these people. In the 80s, mind you, I was making almost $100, $120 an hour in the 80s on top of that, per hour, plus getting a tip on top of that.
Wow.
Then I started getting asked to do the Beverly Hilton Hotel, so I started doing the Beverly Hilton Hotel, and I started doing all the security for the owner of the Beverly Hilton Hotel, who was Merv Griffin at one point.
Okay.
Then he sold it to an Israeli owner. But we still go there currently right now, the Bel Air Hotel, Beverly Hills Hotel, and all the major hotels in Beverly Hills call us and we do work for them.
Wow.
Especially, people who are throwing parties there.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So would you say it's a great business for someone to get into?
It's a phenomenally great business to get into, but, you have to build a clientele based on doing good work. Okay. Any business could be good to get into if you're going to be different and take things to another level. Any business is good.
So if somebody is out there right now and they're working security or they want to get a couple people together and have a business that provides security for people, how do you think they should get into this game?
Well, the first thing I'd like to tell you to recommend is you surround yourself with good people is the key to success. If you surround yourself with good people, you're always going to do well, number one. Number two, you have to have a clean record. You have to make sure your record's clean. You can't have felonies and you can't have... There you go. But,
so I can't do this business, but...
You can't. If you don't have a good record and your reputation is not good and you don't have a good following with people who admire the quality of work you're doing, this is not the work to do.
This isn't for you.
Because this is, listen, I'm a person that is 100% Dominican, and a good majority of my clients are Jewish. And I'm not even a Jew, but I do Chabads, I do Rabbi Kunin every year, I do the telethon every year for Rabbi Kunin at 6 p.m. Every year I start the telethon. So the Jewish community has adopted me since a kid, since I was in the schmata business in Brooklyn, New York. I'm a mensch. That's what you call me, mensch.
Right, yeah.
So,
Jews love you.
Jews love me. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm not saying this in a wrong way, but everybody loves me.
Yeah.
I try to be good to everybody. I have no issues. I love all people, all races, all creeds, all religions, all sexual preferences. I don't have no issues with anybody. If you respect me, I respect you. So to answer your question, have a good record. Number two, keep your word. If you say you're going to do something, do it. And this relates to any business, really. It really does. You know, as a real estate guy and an entrepreneur yourself, you've been very successful longer than I have. So you know more than...
You've been successful longer.
No.
We met...
When we met, I was a manager for a security company back in the day. Okay. And you were definitely...
I was a kid.
You were a kid that already appeared on Marry a Millionaire. You were the first show of Marry a Millionaire. I remember.
No, that was before.
But that was before, right?
It was when we met. I was in college.
Okay,
That was my first year.
You're in college.
I was like 19.
19, creating a huge line of clothing out of a garage.
That's right.
That you now turned into $1 million operation, and then didn't even have to finish college because you're already a millionaire. So that was a smart thing that happened to you in your life. So getting back to your question, because I want to answer that, I think the most important thing is to, be respectful of other people and keep your word. And don't promise something you can't deliver. And most importantly, have confidence in yourself. Believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, no one else will believe in you. And that's very important to me. When I first met you, I knew you were someone special. From the very first day that we met, I knew, because you had that confidence about yourself. And you have to have confidence in yourself for other people to believe in you. So, all those things factor in. If you walk into a meeting and you say, well, I have this product, but I don't know if it's good or not, you're not going to sell that product.
Right. We should tell people how we met.
Let's do it. Go ahead. You start off. Go ahead.
I met you volunteering for Al Gore in the 2000 presidential campaign.
Correct.
It was the year 1999.
Correct.
And I was doing an internship for my college for Pepperdine.
Correct.
Volunteering. And then you were there volunteering because you liked Al Gore a lot, as did I.
Correct.
And they picked, out of the people that were there, they picked 2 people to drive Al Gore's U-Haul that had his bike in it, his personal bike that he worked out in, and a bunch of his stuff that he wanted to schlep around.
His suitcases, all his personal bike, his personal clothes and everything. And me and you were kibitzing in the car saying, should we just take this truck and go to New Jersey? We were joking, remember?
Yeah, they came to us and they said, you guys
take the truck.
You guys take the truck.
Yeah.
And
meet us at the airport.
Yeah. And then we were in the motorcade.
Yeah, we were in the motorcade. Yes, we were in the motorcade. From the motorcade, we went to the airport, pulled the car right next to Air Force One.
Yeah, that's right.
And then we got to take a tour.
Air Force Two.
And we got to take a tour inside Air Force Two together. Right. And when he came, there's actually a picture out there. If you get to show it, that would be great. But there's actually a picture out there where me and you are right next to each other, and you're looking up at me talking to Al Gore, and then he's coming over to you to talk to you. So it was
I'm gonna put that picture up right now.
Yeah, it was impressive. It was very impressive. That was a great time.
From that moment on, I knew you were an awesome guy because
thank you.
I remember when we were doing our thing, like some kid, I don't know if you remember, you probably don't remember this, but we were at the airport and some mom said that their kid went missing. Okay, their kid went missing for like 30 seconds.
Okay.
And everybody else was like, oh, has anybody seen the kid? Oh, shit. But you jumped in like Superman. And you're like, okay, there's a kid missing. You 3 people look that way. You 4 people look that way. I'm going to go over here. Who saw the kid last? And you like conducted like the whole thing. And I was like, oh, wow. And then within like 20 seconds, like we found the kid. He was, hiding somewhere, like or something. And I was like, oh man, this guy knows what the hell he's doing.
At 64 years old, which I turned February 19th, which was a couple of days ago. To be honest with you, I don't remember that. But I'm sure if you're saying it, it's true.
Yeah, I remember.
But I just don't remember. I'm just, when you get older, a lot of things, and I'm a lot older than you, a lot of your memory starts to leave you. So, yeah.
Oh, you're young.
Well, I feel great. Ozempic has been great to me. I lost some weight with that, so that kind of helps. But you know what? It is. We all get old. We all move on, and that's just life.
I've been trying cocaine, but I hear Ozempic is good too.
Well, I don't recommend cocaine at all, so I won't even elaborate on that one. But I'll say that Ozempic has been good for me. It's healthy, and most important, legally.
Good.
Legally, yes.
Okay, so if somebody is young or whatever age they're in and they want to get into the security business, they have to obviously be somebody who keeps their word, be respectable. But what's the first step if you want to get into this game?
So the first step you want to do is you want to have a background in the business. You want to know what the business represents by working for a security company. And then once you work for a security company, you do good and you create a balance of knowledge that you can utilize to transfer over to partial ownership. And you have to get a license, which is called a PPO.
What should I do for the security company?
anything you could do is going to be good enough, because if you work for a security company and you work as, let's say, hypothetically, doing patrols, that's part of security. Writing reports, that's part of security.
Okay.
Investigations, part of security. Customer service, part of security. Site knowledge, part of security. Knowledge of the laws, that's part of security. All those different things are a part of security. You have to know the laws. I mean, you got to know what you can do and what you can't do. Security officers, two functions that are most important for security officers, they call it O for observe and R for report. Observe and report. That's really all a security person can do for the state of the United States. So observe and report. You can't chase people down the street. You can't fight people. You can't punch people. You can't beat people up. Observe and report. Those are the two things a security officer is primarily responsible for doing.
So go get a job with a security company, whatever it is, as long as you're in there.
Yes.
How long should we be in there to?
I would say a person should at least get 2 to 3 years of security knowledge before, and one of the requirements for having a private patrol operations license, which is a license you need, is to have that time in anyway. So you'd have to have that time in to be able to get a license anyway, at least 3 years.
If we're an entrepreneur, can we start this business by hiring people that have the experience, or do you really recommend that the owner work for a security company before they get started?
Well, let me tell you what I've learned. I mean, as you know, my partners are the Yeshua Far family, who I've been working with for many years. And one of the things that I've always admired about them is when they own buildings, they learn how to paint. So they learn how to do the flooring. They learn how to do wood. They learn how to do a lot of things. Like you educated yourself on being able to do this podcast.
Right.
You took an education to learning how to do it. Training on every aspect of it. So for a person to buy a company and not really know what it takes to run the company is a big mistake. That's why I say work for a company 3 years or 2 years. Learn the operational aspects of a company, what it takes, what's the rate going in, how much do you charge a person, how much is the average bill rate versus labor to sell, which I know you know what those terms are. So those are very important things to know. It's almost like you being in construction saying, okay, I'm going to build this house for you for $10,000 and the house costs you $1 million to build. You're not a good business person because you lost a hell of a lot of money because you didn't price it right. So
if you don't know the details of your business, or at least how to hire the right people, because you don't know the business yourself, then that's where you're in trouble.
Right.
You don't have to do the work, but you should at least know the work that needs to be done.
Absolutely.
So that you're not getting scammed by your employees. Absolutely. Or by.
And you brought up another very important point. Every client has a certain personality. We just took over a very prominent jewelry store on Beverly Drive, down the street from CPK. So on the left side, it's a Jewish-owned
Where is this at?
Jewelry store, right on Beverly Drive.
Okay.
Where you know the parking lot, they get the private parking lot where you pay to park in the public parking lot, you pay.
California Pizza Kitchen is still open?
California Pizza Kitchen's across the street.
Are they still around?
Yeah, they're still around.
Wow, yeah.
They're across the street. Parking lot's over here. The jewelry store's to the left of it. So I had to find a person that their personality meets that requirement. I'm not going to put a guy that's equivalent to working in front of clubs, which we don't do, in a jewelry store.
How come you guys don't do clubs, security for clubs?
I don't like the liability involved in it. I don't like the fact that there's fights all the time. There's over drinking inside. There's drugs inside. I'm not going to ask for easy money. I like to do accounts that make more sense to doing business. Okay. It's almost like you working for a customer that has a reputation of not paying the people. Yeah. And you go and say, well, this guy's got a reputation of screwing brokers. Why do I want to work with someone like that? Or renting houses, and you see his background, and he screwed the last 10 people he's rented from by not paying them or giving checks that bounce or credit cards that don't work or whatever. So We don't have those problems. I deal with very, very accomplished people in Kadima. If I see if something doesn't feel right, we just don't do it.
So get at least a couple years of background.
Yes.
Right. Be reputable. Get hired with one of these security companies.
Right.
Get 1 or 2 years under your belt.
Right.
Okay. Now I understand how the security game works. How do I make some money now
Now what you have to do is first of all, I'm gonna tell you how to get in, but I'm gonna tell you what you have to be successful, which I have, and it's been the key to my success. Once you get the appropriate license from the state that you're living in, you get what's referred to as a patrol operations license, okay, PPO, okay? So once you get the PPO and you get the license, and you got all that taken care of, you have to have a business license. You have to have the insurance, the adequate insurance today. To open a company, you need a minimum from $3 to $5 million to have as liability insurance.
Okay.
You have to have that. If you don't have that and something happens, first of all, any company that you're dealing with that's not asking for that insurance is shady. Because you have to have that in your insurance together. So you get that insurance together. Once you have the insurance together, then basically you start your company and you build it. You get a location. Location is very important, as you know, being yourself in the real estate business.
Do I have to get a location?
Well, you can't start it from your house because you're going to have people showing up to get uniforms. You're going to have people applying for jobs. Okay. You're going to have, you can work remotely, but again, to get the company off the street, you got to get people in uniforms.
All right.
You got to get people trained. You got to get people orientated.
So this is all the minimum that needs to be done.
I wouldn't say it's the minimum because each thing that you do has its value. And each thing that you do has its importance. So nothing is minimum. I first of all, in my vocabulary for business, I don't do things minimally because I would not be where I am today if I did. To be very frank with you.
Well, if somebody doesn't have a lot of money to get started,
don't get in this business.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
How much is it going to take to get into this business?
I would say to get into this business from the beginning, I would say to do it right. You got uniforms, you got office, you got vehicles, because you want to have your supervisors go out and check the offices. Okay. So I would say you need at least, to do it right, I would say at least $1 million.
Oh, wow.
Or 500. Let me break that in half. Let me say 500,000.
Oh man.
Yeah.
We can't just start really small and scale in this business.
You could start small, but understand to build, you have to have money to substantiate the building. It's almost like you're building a house, right? And we're going to start off with 10 bricks.
Okay. But instead of doing security for big established businesses like what you do, what if somebody wants to start small and they want to say, okay, you know what? I've got experience in security. I'm a security guard, or I've worked in this business, and now I want to branch out on my own.
Okay.
What are some steps that they can do to get that going?
You have to have connections. You have to have a demand for you to operate security and bring people to a location. Say, you know what, we trust in Lewis. I know that if I hire Lewis is going to bring 4 or 5 more guys to work with him that are going to be perfect. Okay? Then you're going to be okay.
Okay.
But how is that going to grow you? Are you going to be one of those 4 guys that are working for you? Are you going to be able to go out and market the business? Because you got to market it. You got to get the word out there. You got to get your name out there.
How do you market? How does a startup market?
Okay, startup markets by basically saying we currently do this client, and let me introduce you to my list of happy clients. Okay. Let me make you one of my happy clients, like my other happy clients are. Let me show you how to. Show you what I'm going to do for you and tell you what I'm going to do for you. And I'm going to commit to what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to give you post orders on the property, which means I'm going to design the rules and regulations of your property. I'm going to take pictures. I'm going to train every officer to be very qualified to work the property. I'm going to implement a training program for them. I'm going to do all the training myself. I'm going to make sure to do their background checks. make sure to do their acknowledgement of service training. I'm going to make them sign off on the last page. I'm going to tell them how much they're going to get paid. I'm going to make sure to come in with the appropriate insurance. And I'm going to make sure your tenants are happy and want to stay here instead of going somewhere else. Nice. Because they're going to get great service when they come through. Good morning, Mr. Jacobs. Good morning, Mr. Jacobs. Have a great weekend. Have a great day. Have a nice lunch. We're going to get the door for the people. We're going to train, not just am I going to do that, I'm going to train your parking employees. I'm going to train the janitors. I mean, I do a whole bunch of things to enable, like I just took over the Motel 6 just got bought out by an Indian group out of India. Yeah. They just bought 42 Motel 6s.
Patel? Were they Patel?
Patel, yeah. Patel, that's what it is. I already got them. I already started the one at LAX.
I read something that like 80% of motels are owned by the Patels.
Patels, yeah. That's who owns these hotels, through the Patel family. So I just acquired the first one. If you go to Century Boulevard, off the 405, my guys are there now. Nice. We do the security for that. I just took that over too.
So a lot of this is basically, what is it when someone, you're like word of mouth basically, and showing your future clients and marketing, like what you've done with the current people that you're securing. Does that make sense?
100%.
Okay, so if I am starting small and I want to do security for, let's say, private events or like small hotels or motels or things like that, you'd market by saying, here's what I've done. Here are my happy clients. And how do we reach, how do we market to like our clientele?
Let me tell you, first of all, the best form of success is having somebody call and say, you know what, you need security? Call this company. Kadima, Lewis Perry, Raymond, Yeshua Farr. This is the best company you could call. They do great work. They do Sinai Temple. They do this one. They do that one. They do great work. Their guys are always pristine. Their guys are always quality. They're always professionals. They always look. Word of mouth is the best. Like let me give you an example of that. If you sell a house and you're a great broker who worked through all the details with your client and made them feel comfortable, made them feel happy, made them feel they could trust you, delivered on time, that client, whenever asked about a broker, is going to mention your name.
And in addition to that, what are some things that we can do to get the word out? We want to grow. Like, let's say, we just started, we don't have a lot.
I'm going to tell you, the best way to do that is to do great work on the first opportunity you get. Let me share a story with you. Yeah. I had a guy by the name of Yuri Spiro out of Beverly Hills, multi-millionaire, head of all the Ferraris, the president of Ferraris, lives in Beverly Hills. When you drive through Sunset, that blinking light on the corner there, that blinks on the corner of Sunset, he owns that house. He owns a house in Malibu. Huh?
Girls.
What do you mean girls?
Strip club?
I don't know if he owns that.
Okay, that's the only light I remember that blinks on Sunset Boulevard is a strip club.
No,
that's not it.
This is right in the middle of Beverly Hills where all the houses are. So to make a long story short, let me tell you this. I did his son's bar mitzvah at the Beverly Hilton Hotel.
Okay.
I never left. I was there 8 years after, put me on a map. I met every high-profile Persian Jewish family in Beverly Hills from working there. I ran every bar mitzvah for 10 years at that hotel. Multiple rooms, the grand ballroom, the seaside room, every single room I ran out of Beverly Hilton under the direction of Merv Griffin, who owned the hotel.
Yeah.
And Paul, who ran all the special events out of there. That's how I never left.
Did you meet Merv Griffin?
I met of course. He used to walk in with his white dog through the lobby.
Was he
of
cool
course.
or what?
Very cool, very down to earth, very nice. He was the best boss. He treated every employee. They had a Christmas dinner. Great. He gave them all bonuses and did a big, huge dinner with them. Wow. Top of the line, steak, lobster, shrimp.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. The old timers.
Yeah, old timers. Yeah. And I also used to go to, what's that place? The roast place where they roast people. in Beverly Hills. What was that called?
God, what was that called?
I used to Judge Weiss. He became like my
Friars Club.
The Friars Club. Yeah, I used to go to Friars Club,
Okay.
and I would go there with Judge Weiss. He was big known, very known. No money transfer. He would take me there as a kid, and I would sit there and see red buttons on one table over here. See the other actor. A lot of actors. You see a lot of actors. Gregory Peck. You saw everybody in there, and I would be sitting there with Judge Weiss.
Oh shit.
Gregory Peck used to be. Everybody was in that place. Red Buttons was there.
Old school.
Old school.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting in there and Judge Weiss telling me, so what are you working so hard for? And he asked me that question. He used to always mentor me.
Yeah.
So, and he was from New York. That's what matter of fact, I was one of his pallbearers at his funeral when he passed away. And I was one of the last people he saw before telling me he had cancer. And we ate in Beverly Hills. Wow. And then he passed away shortly after. Great guy, one of my biggest mentors. Everybody has a mentor in their life that they shared with. And he shared with me. And I could tell you that one of the questions he asked me is, why are you working so hard? And I said, because I want a better life than the life I started with. And that was one of the things that, inspired me. I just always wanted a better life. I didn't want to, I came from Brooklyn, New York. I came from, the projects of Brooklyn, New York. And I wanted to have a good life. I wanted to kibitz and be able to meet people and be able to establish something better than what I originally had.
And do you feel that you've accomplished your goal?
100%.
Having that great life?
100%. 100%.
What is it that you love the most about your life?
To see my kids grow and be good citizens in society and see my kids become good human beings and work hard for a good life themselves. That's what means the most to me.
That's amazing.
That's what means the most to me.
And you've got some great sons.
My sons, I got a great daughter. I got a daughter that is very successful. She's
How old's
single.
your daughter?
She's 32 years old.
Oh, okay.
32. Her name is Mirage. Okay. She's tremendously bright. She does very well. She owns a hair salon.
I don't think I met her. I met your sons.
I think you met her briefly at one of my parties.
I did. Okay.
You definitely met her. And then there's Justin, who is a construction inspector who's doing very well. Working for a company, getting ready to work for the state. And then Adam is a fashion designer who you know of, who was in Italy, just got back from Italy last night, back on another trip.
I talked to him on the phone, right?
Yeah, you talked to him on the phone. He went to Istituto Moringoni, private school. Mamma mia. And, I'm just so blessed. I mean, we live a life to be able to give our kids an angle and the emphasis of being able to be successful and be good human beings. When if I was to die tonight, there's no complaints. I lived a great life. I'm very happy. I mean, I've accomplished a lot of great things. I mean, I met you with Al Gore. Yeah. How many people get to meet? I met two presidents in my life.
Yeah.
And a vice president. How many people get to meet?
Who else did you meet besides Al Gore?
Oh, I met so many people.
What other president?
Okay, I met George Bush. No, I'm sorry. I met George Bush Sr., the father. Okay. I met Bill Clinton.
Oh, nice.
And there's pictures of him in my book that I have.
Oh,
Bill
nice.
Clinton,
I love Bill.
Bill Clinton, George Bush Sr., and I met just a whole bunch of wonderful, wonderful people.
What'd you say to Bill Clinton?
I said, hey, how you doing? Pleasure to meet you. I really appreciate the great work you've done as a president. And he said, oh, thank you. And I was
I really appreciate that.
No, yeah, that's exactly
so
what he
much.
said. Yeah, exactly. That's
what else
he
did he say?
Bush I found to be the most interesting one, to be honest with you. I like Clinton, but
did Clinton say? I was wondering, did you see that woman over there with the big breasts?
No. He didn't
say
that.
anything
No,
like
we didn't get. Sometimes when you meet these presidents, you don't have too much time, so you
I don't want to talk out of turn, but that woman behind you's got the biggest ass I've seen in a long time.
No, he
didn't do that.
You sound like that, but he didn't do that. He didn't do that. And I'm glad he didn't, because look, when I met, I'm going to give this shout out to George Bush Sr. When I met him, I was like, "Hi, how you doing?" And he said, "Because you got to. Sometimes you get like a minute to meet these people,
Yeah.
10 seconds. You know what I mean?"
George H.W. Bush.
George H.W. Bush, the father, and he said, "And you are?" And I said, oh, thanks for asking, Mr. President. My name is Louis Perry. I'm a security expert for a company called Kadima Security. Oh, very nice. Pleasure to meet you. So he was very pleasant. The shocker of all people, to be honest with you, was when I met Colin Powell.
Okay.
I really thought that Colin Powell was going to be a lot more pleasant than he was.
Was he a prick?
I wouldn't say he was a prick. I would say that he was very unpersonable.
Okay.
He was very like, okay, keep moving.
Oh, yeah.
Like that type of thing.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, it was very, very, I was a little shocked about that. I thought he would have been a lot more pleasant, a lot more, hey, how you doing? I'm from Brooklyn too, blah, blah, blah. I'm from Brooklyn, where you came from. Oh, nice. It wasn't nothing like that. I was like, okay, next.
Yeah.
So he didn't care. He was
Next.
like, just going through the motions. He could care less, So,
Yeah.
I mean, and I really liked him, as a person until I met him. Then I was turned off. And I like to keep it real with people. I meet you if you're pleasant, but as a Democrat or Republican, doesn't matter. George Bush Sr. was probably the most nicest guy I ever met. He actually cared to say, and you are.
That's awesome.
So that was nice.
What's one of the biggest things you've learned in business? The biggest lesson you've learned in this security business?
I would say keep your word.
So that's the main thing.
That's the main thing. If you say you're going to deliver something, you do it. If you go to a client and you say, I want a guy with a nice personality, I want a guy that's tall, I want a guy that's this, I want a guy that's that, keep your word, because that's really what keeps you going in business, is to keep your word with people. And not just security business, but any business, I would think that's the same thing.
Any business. Yeah. And you do a lot of boxing stuff as well, right? I've seen you on television walking
Absolutely.
Oscar De La Hoya's guys to the ring. And I watch, we haven't even talked about this a lot, but I'll be watching a fight and, they'll announce one of Oscar De La Hoya's guys or Canelo or somebody. And all of a sudden I see you're walking up, you're in the ring.
Yeah.
What is it that you do exactly?
So, as you know, I own Kadima. We basically talked about that. I'm the founder and president of Kadima Security. But I'm also, another job that I have is I'm the inspector for the State of California Athletic Commission. There's probably about 30 of us, and then there's judges, and then there's referees, and then we have a director by the name of Andy Foster, who's probably known as one of the best directors in the whole country, if
You
not
inspect
world.
the gloves?
I'm the inspector of the whole fight. So let me tell you what I do as an inspector. Okay, so the first thing we do is we get the fighters together. We find out who our fighter is that we're going to be working with. Then we check to make sure he has all the appropriate equipment. Make sure sometimes they give him a drug test. We check the drug test to make sure the drug test is accurate. There's no drugs in the system. Everything's kosher. Everything's good. We check to make sure his weight is right. We check to make sure that everything's okay.
When is all this done?
Right before the fight.
So you check, your company is responsible for this? Or
Not my company. I'm the inspector. That's a totally different job.
so
This is not Kadima. I'm the inspector. That's another job that I have.
And you get paid for this too?
Absolutely, yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So you get paid to check to make sure Canelo Alvarez's weight is what?
Everything is 100%.
But
Yes.
don't they check the weight the day before?
They check it the day before and they check it the day of. So they check it they check the glove. We check the glove,
Yeah.
make sure nothing's in the glove, make sure everything's kosher, make sure nothing's been put in
And
the
the
glove.
glove is
Nothing's
checked.
been compromised.
Do you check the glove with the trainer of the other guy?
Sometimes they request it, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they say, I want to be there when they wrap them. I want to be there when they tape them. So the first thing is to wrap the boxer's hands and put the tape on it. We got to make sure everything's done professionally, correctly, like no tape on the knuckles, okay? It's got to be an inch up to 2 inches up on the knuckles. The tape's got to end over here, not on the knuckle, okay? So everything has to be done per the state law of California,
Okay.
regulations. And this is all done by a guy named Andy Foster, who's the top guy. Then we got a guy named Mark, who's the head of all the inspectors. He's my boss directly. Andy Foster is everybody's boss. He's the big boss.
Wow.
So we make sure everything's kosher.
How do we get this job? I want to watch the
You know,
fight.
let me tell you
ringside.
the greatest thing about this job.
Yeah.
This job, 300 to 350 people will apply for one job.
Wow.
And I got lucky. I got lucky because, number one, I was taught by the head guy. Andy Foster's the guy that brought me in, the big boss from the state of California.
How'd you meet him?
Boss. You know, it's interesting. When he first came to California, I was very connected to Gavin Newsom. And I went to Gavin Newsom first and said, I would really like to get that job. So when Andy Foster met for the job with Andy Foster, with Newsom said, hey, why don't you take a look at this guy? And he called
Gavin
me up,
Newsom.
and that's how I got in. I became an inspector.
Every time I see Gavin Newsom, he's like, hey, we're going to be doing a lot of things.
You know, I don't want to get into politics, but, you know, politics, there's all kinds in politics. There's politics that are doing something. There's politics that are not. There's politics that are acting correctly, politics that don't act correctly, politics that act correctly but do nothing. So, you know, it all depends. I don't really get into politics too much.
So you met Foster, and then he brought you in as
He
an
brought me
inspector?
in, we spoke, and he brought me in as an inspector. He said, give it a try, see if you like it. I loved it the first day. My very first fight was Wilder versus, I forgot who it was. It was Wilder versus someone.
Okay.
And it was at the Staples Center. And I fell in love with it.
Wow.
And I loved it. And I did it. I learned from the best, you know, Mark Relier, Andy Foster as the big boss, Mark Relier as the lead inspector, and some of the other inspectors.
That's awesome.
They were just amazing.
What are some great stories as a boxing inspector?
Some of the great stories is basically, you know, you get to meet everybody, first of all.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the great stories is I was in a room and I looked over and it was not a boxing, it happened to be a UFC fight. And I'm in the room and I'm kicking it in the room with my fighter. I'm getting them all ready, checking everything. And all of a sudden the door opens and I see some guy sit there and I said, God, he looks familiar. Mark Zuckerberg.
Nice.
And we got to talk, and I had a nice little conversation with him. Amazing guy, no jewelry, no watches, no nothing, just T-shirt, jeans, sneakers.
Laptop?
And an Asian wife, no laptop, no nothing. But his security guys were top-rated Delta Force guys. You were little guys, very tiny, but they were, I hate to use the word, but they were kick-ass type of guys. They were very professional
So he had-
in bodyguard work. He had
just-
3 or 4 of them.
T-shirt, jeans, Asian wife, and then his security.
That's it.
That's great.
Great guy, very well spoken, very cool, you know, Jewish, very nice, down to earth, very pleasant. Meeting Floyd Mayweather was great. I become very close to Floyd Mayweather, talking to him all the time at the fights. Mayweather's a great guy.
That was easy, cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. You know, there was an interesting thing that happened one time with Mayweather. Mayweather was allowed to do a lot of things in a lot of states. But in California, we have rules and regulations, and we are told we gotta make sure those rules and regulations are followed.
Okay.
So one of my jobs at a fight was to make sure Floyd Mayweather did everything he was supposed to do per the law of the state of California in boxing. Not like other states where you can do whatever you want because you're influenced.
Yeah.
We have rules, and I had a nice conversation with Floyd, and I said, Floyd, you know, I got to make sure that you sit down and you're not ringside, because in a corner, there's only a certain amount of people supposed to be in that corner for the fighter. So if you let somebody else go in that corner, you're actually giving somebody the advantage on the other corner.
Wait, what was he trying to do exactly?
Just go in the corner and talk to Gervonta Davis,
Okay.
who was fighting, give him some tips. But he's not a corner person.
He wasn't fighting. He
wasn't fighting. He was just that was his fighter.
Okay.
But he wanted to be able to walk up into the corner, and you can't do that.
Yeah.
So I had to tell Floyd, you need to sit down. And Floyd's response immediately was, you know, that's why I bring my fights to Vegas. You know, blah, blah, blah. And I said, Floyd, we want your fights in California, but I got a job to do.
Yeah.
And when we got into at the end of the fight, when Floyd's guy obviously knocked the guy out, and Davis knocked the guy, we were in the ring. He walked up to me, and I found this to be very cool. And he said, look, I apologize, man. I get so emotionally intense on these fights that I get really overwhelmed. And I apologize. I'll make sure to follow the rules and regulations. And that was nice. That was class.
I hear he's an
That was class. He's a great guy. He's a great guy. He's a really nice guy.
Now, why couldn't he go up again?
Okay, so it wasn't about going up.
Yeah.
When there's a fight taking place, there's a chief second, there's a cut man, and maybe there's a coach in the corner. The cut man works on cuts.
Yeah.
The chief second is like his main guy telling him, stuff that he needs to do and blah, blah, blah. Then there's another guy there that's similar to that. But really the chief second is the one that does all the talking to the fighter, tells it. So he wanted to walk over and start telling Gervonta Davis other stuff, which would have meant that I'm allowing a additional corner guy to go into the corner, and that would be unfair to the other side. It's not allowed. Okay. So in California, we do everything right. One thing about Andy Foster and Mark Relier, they keep everything 100%. Nobody gets an advantage over another corner. In other states, you may go in, they'll let whatever happen. They don't, they don't really regulate the sport like they do in California. In California, they keep it 100.
So in Vegas, you're allowed to go up?
No,
and
you're not allowed. You're not allowed. But what happens is you got a guy that has so much influence over the MGM Hotel and over Vegas that they let him. In California, we don't care who you are. The rules are the rules, and we are going to abide by the rules that are set forth by the state of California under Andy Foster and Mark Relier and the state board and commission.
Exactly. Rules are rules.
Rules are rules.
One thing I love about Vegas is if you've got a couple $100, you can do anything.
That's Vegas, not California.
Yeah. Well, what other interesting things happened to you as a inspector?
As an inspector, it's a great feeling for me because I love the fighters. I love the corner people. I love who I work for. I love working for Mark. I love working for
Is the pay
Andy
good,
Foster.
or is it more of like
the pay is nothing? The pay is nothing.
So it's more of just like the experience.
It's the experience. It's the feeling. You know what it is to be walking out with a guy and you hear 20,000 people cheering for him. You almost feel like you're in the Gladiator. In your mind, you're saying, "Man, these people are cheering for me." They're not cheering for you, but it's just an amazing feeling to hear everybody in the world watching a production, a fight of two fighters getting ready to go from all over the world watching. Everybody, 20,000 people in an arena, and you're right there.
Yeah.
You're in the midst of it. You're in the ring. You're walking this guy out.
I love
You're right there. You're on TV getting exposure. I mean, it's just
it's a natural adrenaline.
It's a natural adrenaline of feeling good about being part of such a great sport, and being part of for me, being part of a great commission.
So
I'm part of a legacy that so many people want to be part of, but only few get to be part of.
How can we become an inspector or get close?
I'm going to tell you that it's a luck of the draw. It really is. I'm a very, very blessed guy, not just to be an inspector, but to also have Kadima. And there's another phase of it.
Is there anybody we can give cash to, under the
No, it's nothing like that. No, California.
So our viewers cannot, if our viewers have a couple grand, can they hand it over to somebody?
No. Never in a million years would it ever work like that. California does never work like that.
So then how does it work then?
You have to basically get lucky. You have to work hard. You have to, look, if I go right now, it's almost like you're asking the question, how do I win the lottery? Okay. I go right now, you give me $1, I buy a ticket. I'm in line, right?
Yeah.
And I say to some lady, ma'am, go ahead and go ahead of me. I'm going to go grab a bag of chips.
Yeah.
And that ticket I was going to buy for $1, she buys and she wins $50 million.
Yeah.
It happens every day.
Yeah.
Happens every day.
Yeah.
So you basically you apply, you have to be good, you have to get in. Once you get in, you have to be good at what you do. I had to learn everything.
So you just have to apply, and there's really no way.
There's no way of.
You did it because you met him through your security.
No. I didn't meet him through the security.
How'd you meet him?
So he was coming in as one of the new director of the California State Athletic Commission. And basically, I wrote him saying, congratulations on your appointment. I wish you the best of luck in your journey. And that led to a conversation of me going to see the events, and then me applying for the events, and then me working to get in.
So
And then
you wrote him a letter.
yeah, but I also volunteered for about 7 to 8 months before getting picked up. I volunteered. After the letter, I volunteered. After I liked it, and I thought it was something I would do, I volunteered for about 6 to 8 months before getting hired when an opportunity came.
So you wrote him a letter out of the blue.
Out of the blue.
He got back to you, and then you volunteered.
Then I volunteered, and then I put 6 to 8 months in as a volunteer, and then got picked up.
That's amazing. So sometimes you can just write a letter.
Well, listen, I mean,
things open up for you.
Sometimes it happens like that. I mean, you gotta, I like to do things by the feeling of the desire, like anytime I go to a restaurant, I get a business card and I write a letter to that restaurant saying, hey, I really enjoyed the restaurant. I enjoyed the service. I enjoyed the food. Sometimes they'll call me back and say, I got a friend that's looking for security and I met you a couple of months ago at my restaurant. And then, so it's just different. It's a different approach. Everybody has a different approach on how they do things. That's how I do it.
Your networking is like,
best.
top notch.
Top notch.
Yeah, I've seen you in restaurants where you talk to the owner.
Yeah.
And you're always, introducing yourself and telling them about Kadima.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you about I'm also the security expert on the news.
On what news?
Every news channel.
What do you
I
mean?
do Channel 2, Channel 4, Channel 7.
Get out of here.
Yeah, absolutely. If you ever want to go online and look at YouTube, Kadima Security, you'll see 30 different news releases with me on it, every one of them.
So we can find you on YouTube, Kadima Security.
Yeah.
Where else can we find you on social media?
Social media, lewisperry.net.
L-U-I?
LOUISPERRY.
Okay.
.net, or you can go YouTube, Kadima, KADIMA Security, and then it'll take you to a station, Kadima station, and you'll see every 20, 30 different news segments with me on it.
Oh, wow. We're going to put your link and everything, all your social media.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the description.
Okay.
Wow. So you're doing that. So really, you've got the networking skills. You're out there introducing yourself, telling them about your security. You write letters. I know you're big with letters.
I'm big with letters, but I'm also big with books. I got a book in my car. I keep 20 to 50 books. Anytime I meet somebody, I hand them a book.
What is it, the Bible?
It's not the Bible. It's my security reference. Look, anywhere I go, I got 2 cards.
I've seen your security books. Yeah, you gave me
my cards. Those are the security.
You gave me one on my birthday.
Yes, I gave you one on my birthday. Absolutely.
Oh, nice.
And these are cards I give out everywhere I go. I give out 2 cards. One that breaks it all down
Nice.
to the different businesses that I'm in, and the other one's the Kadima card.
National Police Association, certified LAPD community police diplomat. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
So you always got to be ready.
Yeah, your networking is
100%.
amazing. I think like that's one big part of your success.
May I toast you too?
Yeah.
This is a toast to you and your years of success, because you've been very successful for many, many years. You built a reputation, you built a client base, and you built a network where you mention your name, David Golshan. Everybody knows you.
I'm just learning from you. That's why I'm here.
I'm not going to give you all the skills, but I'll give you as
You
many
have
as I
to.
can.
You have to tell our viewers.
I can't. Well, I'll tell you viewers. I'll tell you viewers, but I'm not going to give you. You'll surpass
No,
me.
don't tell me. Tell the viewers.
Okay, you got it.
Salute,
to the
brother.
viewers. Mazel tov. Great luck. Work hard. Make good friends. Stay positive. There's always a positive side to everything, and be good to all people. That's the most important advice I can give you.
Salute, brother.
Salute, brother. Thank you.
All right, so to finish up here, if we do want to get into the security business, basically go out there, get a year or 2 under your belt working for a security company, keep your nose clean.
Absolutely.
Then, if you do want to do it and you want to branch out, you're going to have to get insurance, you're going to have to get really good employees. What is the absolute bottom line, smallest amount of money that we can dedicate?
Tony Namvar.
You want to get that?
Yeah, you mind?
Yeah, go ahead. Put on
Tony?
speaker. Put on speaker.
Do you know Tony?
No.
Tony,
How are you?
I'm very good. I'm just doing a show here in Beverly Hills. I'm here with David Golshan, and we're doing a video. He's doing a podcast, so they're interviewing me.
Beautiful. Enjoy, and I just come to say how you do. Have a good day.
I love you. I love the family too.
Take it easy, buddy.
I will. Bye. So Tony
Nice.
Namvar is a money guy. He's the guy that gives all the money to people in Beverly Hills who want money.
Well, tell them to hand me some.
You just
How come I didn't get
call
it?
them. You can borrow any as much as you
How
want.
come I didn't get it?
Anytime you want, just call them up.
What's the interest rate?
I don't know. You'd have to. You want to call and ask him?
No. We'll wait on that.
Okay, yeah. He owns, World Peanuts and Pistachios, World Pistachios.
No, I love pistachios. I know.
Well, he owns the company, the number one company that does pistachios. He owns the designer center in Beverly Hills. He owns.
Pacific Design Center?
Yeah, he owns
Oh,
that
get
too.
outta here.
Yeah, he owns
Oh,
everything.
nice.
He's very rich. He's very
Oh, very
wealthy
cool.
guy. I do a lot of work with him, security work, so I'm always
Very
working.
cool.
I
Nice.
call him back. Yeah.
Okay, so if I want to start a security company, how much do I have to dedicate?
I would say financially, you need at least. You could start off, but if you really want to do it right, where you're going to market it and you're going to be building and you're going to build you have to have people who want to work with you. You have to have a pleasant personality where people want to work with you. That call just now, this guy, he's worth about probably $1 billion.
Is that all?
Well, yeah, at least.
Okay, no, I thought it was worth more.
He may be worth more.
Maybe he's struggling.
No, he's not struggling, trust me.
Economy is down.
It could be, but he owns about 50 shopping centers, maybe more, 50 shopping centers.
Nice.
He owns a lot of things. The point I'm trying to make is that you have to have people want to see you succeed. You have to have people that want to help you. But more importantly, you have to keep a word for your people. You have to have a word that people say, I want to work with this guy, David, because David's a great guy. He's a nice guy. He's a good person. I know that if I invest in him, he's going to not just get me more money, he's going to get me money, but it's going to be legitimately done.
Right. Okay. Well, I love that. Any final words you want to tell people?
Yeah, I'll look right into the camera to say this. I came from the Brooklyn, New York. I came from the projects of Brooklyn. I've been very fortunate to have a great, great, great mother who was just the most amazing woman in the world, who gave me a lot of love. I never had a dad, so I can't mention him, but I had a great mother. I listened to my mother. I worked hard. And she taught me how to be a good human being. And I had a great brother who's still living, Bill Perry, who's an amazing brother, and a great sister, Pat, and a great sister, Anna. But I'm closest with my brother. We talk usually every day. Family is the most important thing you can associate with is family, because family is always going to be good to you, for the most part. There are a lot of cases out there where family is not good to you, but for the most part, a brother, a mother, a sister are going to be the best to you. Work hard. Take care of your kids. My kids, Justin, Adam, Mirage, I got great kids. They're the best. They motivate me to work hard and be the best that I could be every day. Do the right thing by people. Be honest. Don't take advantage of people. Be good, and good will come to you. There is a God up there. He may seem like he's not around sometimes, but he's always around. He will give you just the amount you need to live a good life and be happy. Money is not the key to happiness. Being a good person is the key to happiness. Family is the key to happiness. My only desire is for my 2 boys and daughter to go on and live a clean, healthy life and live out their life. And for me to one day get asked by God to come home. He could ask me tonight. My bags are packed. I'm ready to come home, God. I love you. I thank you. I thank you, David, for giving me this opportunity to speak to your listeners and viewers. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother. Awesome. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
Appreciate
good
you.
doing this.
Thank you. You too. You too.
Thanks.
God bless you, Billy. Thank you.
The David Golshan Podcast.